world-class trophy for his work in the what's the name of medical stuff, treating the bowel problems. Just can't think for a minute. Yeah, Pete Henry got a gold medal, gold cane for his work in pathology on a world standard, world-class standard. And he and Roy Mills, worked together up in the hospital up in Newcastle. Very great bloke. But in the prison war camp, Pete was a real source of joy to people. He was a great personality and made everybody happy just to be there about. I remember on one occasion I complained to him that I couldn't eat the food I'd been given, dreadful food. I vomited it in the Dixie. And I said, what am I going to do with this? He said, eat it up, get it down there.
Ken, Pete Henry was the only Australian doctor in that camp.
Yes.
But did you recall whether Lloyd Carl came up there at a later stage at all?
I can't recall. I was a pretty sick bloke at the time.
Yeah, no. All right, was Pat Wolfe in that camp, or had he remained further back?
I think Wolfe had stopped back in number 1 camp, I think.
Yes.
I think, I'm not sure, but when you're a patient you don't know anything except what's going on around you.
Yeah, no, I do understand. And two very quick questions. There was a British pathologist by the name of Captain Wilson.
I have no recollection.
No recollection. And there was a Australian service corps captain by the name of Allen who came down from Camisoncarai, which is North Sonkarai, at some stage. And he mentions in his diary, having contact with Pete Henry. But you don't recall him at all?
Okay. I was a pretty sick bloke, you said. I was concerned mainly with keeping him alive.
Yeah, I do understand.
It's quite important.
Now, can you just close your eyes and describe Sonkarai camp for us? Can you visualise where the hospital hut was, where the river, which was in front of you, which is now called the St. Kalia River, but maybe didn't have a name in those days. Can you remember where the cemeteries were?
Remember where the cemetery was, because on the hut where the Australian camp was, Australian ward,
yeah.
I said to Pete Henry one day, I can't eat this bloody food, Doc, I can't eat it. And he said, come here, I want you to open up one of the flap windows. He said, see across there? I said, yeah. He said, see those crosses on the graves over there? I said, yeah. He said, well, that's because they were blokes the same as you, couldn't eat the food. So he said, if you want to eat, if you're going to get back to Australia, don't do what those fellas did. Frightened shit out of me. Frightened me a bit. I put food down, and even though I vomited back, he said, eat the vomited food. So
yes.
It's essentially get food into you. So, and I thought he was a bit cruel, been a bit sorry for myself, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he was responsible for me surviving.
Yes.
So he got to be my lifetime friend, hasn't he?
Yes, absolutely. Now, can you describe the bridge at Sonkarai to us?
No, look, I just can't remember. I can't clearly remember that. I've tried to picture the scene, but I think I was probably too bloody sick to worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I have got a drawing done that's in a book written by Leo Rawlins, an English author. I'll send you a copy of that and see whether
may bring recollections to me, but at the present time I have to be honest and say no, I don't have that any recollection.
Do you remember the Japanese engineer in charge of building that bridge by the name of Lieutenant Abe?
The name, yes, but I don't remember the man.
If I told you that he has stated on a television interview that he was so concerned about the welfare of the POWs that when the weather was bad he wouldn't work them on it, that he would only use his Japanese men, what would you say to that?
I would say BS. Maybe.
Yeah.
The Japs had no consideration for anybody except the Japs.
Yeah. Now, how about you just briefly tell us about your mate Jim Burse?
I was put in this hut on the platform, and there was a space there because where I got in was a fellow had died. I took the I was a new customer. I happened to be alongside this fellow named Jim Burse, who was a Brit. How he was in the camp, I can't answer the question. But and Jimmy Burse somehow had looked after me. He was sick of the dog himself, but he took, like, he was from the Gordon Highlanders. Jim used to, when I'd cook myself, he'd go and get the water and wash me down. And I was too sick to do anything for myself. And he looked after me. He was my saviour. We talked about when we got after the war, what we would do after the war. And, that's another story, I suppose. But he went out one night and dark, of course it was pitch black. There was no electricity up there. It was as dark as midnight. And he went out on the scrounge. He got some food out of the Jap's kitchen. He brought back 4 potatoes. I'll never forget this. They were cooked potatoes, not big, but 4 potatoes. He came back and told me what we had to go and have some supper. I sat down and we ate these things. It was the most wonderful food I've ever eaten in my life. 2 potatoes. No butter, no pepper and salt, just potato. There you were starving. People say they're starving. People are starving if they haven't eaten for an hour after their appointed mealtime. They're starving. Now that's when you're getting a bit peckish. And starving, when I say starving, your body weight's down. I finished up down to weight 42 kilos. But nobody took any notice of this because everybody was the same. But Jimmy Burse, he had this party, 2 potatoes each. And he told me he came from a place called Inverurie in Scotland. I'd never heard of Inverurie, but he'd heard of Sydney. I told him there, he said, if ever we get out to this place, he said, if ever we get out to this, he said, we're going to sit down and drink a bottle of Glengrat. He said, Glengrat is the finest whiskey come out of Scotland. I never drank whiskey, I didn't know about whiskey, but I said, that'd be nice, we'll have a bottle. I said, no, I said, we'll have 2 bottles. I said, one for you and one for me. Anyhow, later on, when the camps moved, he was with the Brits and I was with the Australians, and I never saw Jim Burse again. He was just if it hadn't been for Jim Burse, I would have died. I got back somewhere on the train. When you're sick and your memory's a bit fuzzy, but I remember I was back in Kanchanaburi camp. I had rotten ulcers, and I was a sick boy. My mate Dick Cochran come out. He was on the H-Force, and he'd come there, and I said to him, Dick, I said, I feel I might make it back to Singapore, Dick. He bounced on me, and he said, get off your ass, you bastard. Get off your ass, and don't talk that bullshit. He jolted me a bit, and I thought, that's what happened. That's the truth. So he helped get me back to Singapore too. That's where Kevin Fagan, I was taken up to the hospital, there one hospital hut. British officer looked at me and said, I have to take that leg off, son. My right foot was the size of a vegetable marrow. And it was full of bloody pus. It was a rotten ulcer. Both ankles had ulcers on them, but the right foot was going to cut off. Because I was terrified, and he said, be back here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to do the operation. I went back at 8 o'clock, carted up.